Peace. Pursuing peace. Do we have peace in the world finally? Looks that way, or it's getting closer anyway, but you'd never know it by watching our news yesterday. Wow. I mean, the mainstream media's reaction to this yesterday was shocking and stunning even to me, and I follow them all the time. I mean, the upside down smiles and what are we going to talk about now? I mean, you could sense the disappointment in traditional, corrupt, completely disgusting news media over this supposed progress with peace. And they were, and all the panelists were coming, but we were more prepared than Trump, and he didn't. Okay, right. We'll talk about what really happened, where we go from here. And here's another thing, what you're going to hear at work from people out there today who watch those news outlets, who aren't going to believe anything they actually see and what actually happened. And we'll talk about Zelensky's suit. That's right. It's a part of the news story because he showed up at the pre-meeting, the little warm-up meeting before the actual peace talks, in a black T-shirt. And it wasn't looking good because we were all thinking he's going to show up at this thing in a T-shirt, but he did find some kind of a suit, so that was good. And the media kind of, made note of it, whatever, where we go from here. So we'll talk about that. We also got to talk about this story. This is my favorite story of the day. A drunk, and that's like confirmed. I mean, she was hammered. A drunk Rhode Island AG, and she tells you in the video she's an AG, assistant, attorney general, 11 times in about a minute, that she can't be arrested, and the cop in Newport, Rhode Island is having nothing to do with it. And the last thing she says before being thrown into the police car is, "You'll regret this, I'm an AG." Okay, we'll see about that. A lot of controversy and a lot of fake news about mail-in ballots. They've already started the propaganda on this one, trying to tell you that the military is going to be forced out of voting now somehow as we try to secure our elections. And one more story to lighten things up. I see it as a light story at the end of this one. It seems as though young kids, Gen Z, according to the New York Post anyway, are taking mom and dad to the interview. I don't know if I believe everything in this story, but at least some of it's got to be true, and we got to talk about that. Because I got to tell you, if I'm a young job seeker, I'm jumping up and down in celebration at this news because you're going to destroy your competition. It's fantastic. Anyway, let's get to it. Thanks for finding the Wicked Radio live stream, all part of Wicked Wisdom with Bill Adams. Stay close to those channels, by the way, on YouTube and Facebook. We got some mindset interviews coming up here this week that'll be posted later on towards the week and in the future. So extended interviews on those, and live stream and replay, as you know, is here every single day. And thanks again, audio podcast listeners. Let's get to it. Peace talks at the White House. What is happening? Do we have peace? Well, I tell you what. Pretty good response from the European leaders, and this is interesting. This is why I was listening to a lot of people yesterday who are of the opinion that this whole peace deal was negotiated actually in Alaska, and this was just a formality. Very interesting. Here's some of the European leaders and their reaction to what happened yesterday. Now compare to what they're saying. Now, this is Europe. They're right next to this conflict. These are the ones who have been saying, we have to end this, we have to end this. Here's their reaction to the summit at the White House yesterday.
In the past 2 weeks, we've probably had more progress in ending this war than we have in the past 3.5 years. And I think the fact that we're around this table today is very much symbolic in the sense that it's Team Europe and Team United States.
So they're happy. They were involved, right? And sitting right, I think that was the guy from Finland. Sitting right next to him was the president of the European Union. They're involved. They're happy. They seem like they're good. The vibes, as the kids say, were high in the room after the meeting. And sure enough, very closely after that, we had this little bit of information where Fox News was trying to do the wrap-up on what happened. So a meeting is coming between, it'll be trilateral, as they say. It's kind of like the old Stratego or Risk board game, right? I think that's what they were called. A trilateral meeting. It'll be us kind of supervising things. Russia and Ukraine will happen, apparently, within the next 2 weeks.
The German chancellor has just told reporters that the president spoke with Vladimir Putin, agreed that the Putin-Zelensky meeting is going to happen within 2 weeks. So that's from Chancellor Merz. Listen.
I don't know what else you can ask for. I mean, we've all clamored for it, right? Everybody wants to stop war, stop the killing, stop. Another big part of this is all of our money going over there. We don't want that to happen anymore. Just stop it. So I don't know how you can look at this and not see any kind of progress. Oh, wait a minute, I do. I know. If your vested interest is being a media outlet that wants this to go on, And I mean that. I know it's a strong statement. I totally get that. But I'm telling you, there were our media outlets yesterday, actually rooting for this war to continue, despite going on the air for the last 2 years, clamoring for it to stop. We're not doing enough. Well, all of a sudden, when we broker a potential peace deal, all of a sudden, the upside down smiles and the frowns and and the disappointment. Just a little clip on this, and it's long because she rambles on forever. Listen to NBC's take on this, MSNBC's take on this, and what they actually thought of the potential peace deal. Now remember, this is after the news broke that the trilateral meeting, U.S., Russia, Ukraine, will actually happen within the next 2 weeks. Not good enough. No. What are they going to talk about now? What is going to go on over at MSNBC? Here's their panel. Listen to this, especially at the end after she rambles on.
Completely transparent with our viewers. We were prepared for the possibility of a minimalist outcome. We were also prepared for the possibility of a maximalist outcome. We have maps of Russia and Ukraine such that if we were going to be talking tonight, we'd have Ali Velshi at the big board walking us through which territories were where and why they were of critical need and want to both. We had full screens about what membership to NATO means to Ukraine. There was so much that could have been discussed tonight, including Donald Trump saying if he is not willing, he being Putin, willing to agree to a ceasefire, then there are going to be consequences. We had lists of tariffs and secondary tariffs pulled up, the possibility of sanctions. It is not clear that any of that was discussed. It is possible we were more prepared for this meeting than he was.
Oh, you probably take that to the bank.
We were more prepared for the meeting than President Trump was. She actually said that. And Nicole Wallace is on there. I don't know who the other one was. And she, I think that you could take that to the bank. That's for granted. And there's your problem right there. Absolutely insulated, completely self-unaware, egomaniacal lunatics at that network, at MSNBC. They were actually, you could see, you could sense, and you could hear the disappointment that things were actually going. So how did they turn it? President Trump was told, it's unclear. We don't know. He was unprepared. He was just unprepared. Here's your problem. Here's all of our problems, or at least a good solid 90% chunk of them, of anything we have going on, is still a lying, completely corrupt and biased propaganda news media. We don't have a free press, not with them. We absolutely don't. If you want to take some good news out of this, speaking of MSNBC, that very same network had a big rebrand yesterday. Did you see this? It's not going to be called MSNBC anymore. It's going to be called, ready? I wish I could show you the graphic. MS Now. That's the new name of the network. I don't know when they start. MS Now. My source, news, opinion, world. And they separate the MS from the now. Like all the letters aren't all together. And it was interesting to see people's first take reactions on this, because a lot of people saw the Miss as like Ms., like they're going to go after a purely female demographic maybe. This was just my gut reaction. I saw the MS. I saw multiple sclerosis. That was my first think of what that is. Probably because I've done so many charity events. Maybe that's what I don't know. But it's, you know that old expression, you can't put lipstick on a pig? That's what MSNBC is trying. MS Now will now be the network. It's not going to help them because of segments like that, where they actually express disappointment at a potential peace deal, despite what they've been saying for the past 3 years. Viewership for MSNBC has tanked. No surprise there. And this is the good takeaway. This is what should make you happy. Less and less people, still too many, but less and less people are actually watching them. Around 530,000 to 545,000 total day viewers. That's the whole day. Now, if you were a podcast or if you were a individual interview show or something, those would be great numbers in a day, right? Over 500,000? No, that's the whole day. And you're a television network. They are tanking. They're absolutely. Fox is close to tripling what their numbers are. No big fan of Fox these days either. I hear you, but still, just for comparison's sake. So they're going to rebrand the name to MS Now, or whatever the hell I just said, but it's not MSNBC. But still the same garbage, exactly because of segments like that. We talked about Zelensky's suit. Well, this was a big topic of discussion because it was just so, we all were thinking at the point in time there, in the pre-meeting, right? The little warm-up, the little preamble to the peace talks, that he walked in and he talked to some of the world leaders and he was in his black T-shirt. Again, He's not doing an interview or hanging out or just doing a podcast or something. This is a guy hoping, supposedly, for peace in his region. And he shows up in the black T-shirt. So everybody was thinking, oh, my God, he's going to go into the meeting with Trump in that outfit. He's actually, how disrespectful, right? And some people were saying at the time, in real time, Trump, just send him home. Just send him out of there. Like, you can't meet with the Secret Service not in a suit. Remember Spencer Pratt we were talking about, the reality TV guy who was trying to expose Gavin Newsom for the lack of fire preparation? He went to meet at the White House, and he was in a casual suit. They made him go down the street to Men's Warehouse and get a suit. Everybody was thinking they could have done it to Zelensky, too, after all the money we gave him. But no, hold on. It turned out to be okay, because he did put on, well, some kind of a suit. I don't know. It was an outfit, let's call it that. But it wasn't the black T-shirt, so that was good. And this was a lighthearted moment in the peace talks, where the same reporter who called him out for not dressing up before at the White House made note of it, and Trump seemed very happy with his outfit. At least it's an effort.
First of all, Mr. President Zelensky, you look fabulous in that suit.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, you look good.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, looks good on
I
you.
said the one that attacked you last time. See, now I remember that.
Yeah, I apologize to you. You look wonderful. No, my first question for you, President Zelensky.
In the same suit.
Oh, he had a zinger in there. I have changed. You are in the same suit. Not bad. Hey, look, let's take it for what it is. We were all afraid he was going to show up at this thing in a T-shirt. Would have been very disrespectful, and it would have pissed me off personally, I will tell you. But he did find an outfit. I don't think it wasn't exactly a three-piece suit, but he did gussy up a little bit, okay? Let's take it for what it is. Also, at the end of the interview part of it was a question to President Trump from the press pool there, because every time they get a chance to ask him something, they'll ask some off-topic questions. They did ask him about the mail-in ballot issue yesterday. Remember, there was some breaking news during the podcast yesterday talking about President Trump will issue an executive order cracking down on mass mail-in ballots and going to paper ballots only that are watermarked to secure our elections. More on that in the reaction from it in just a second. But this was the question from the press yesterday, and he clarified.
Pushed out on social media about doing away with mail-in ballots and potentially electronic voting machines. Can you expand on that and how important
Well,
that
that's a very off-topic, just really quickly. Mail-in ballots are corrupt. Mail-in ballots, you can never have a real democracy with mail-in ballots. And we, as a Republican Party, are going to do everything possible that we get rid of mail-in ballots. We're going to start with an executive order that's being written right now by the best lawyers in the country.
Now, how many times, let me ask you, how many times did you hear it yesterday? People in your personal life, people at work, friends, people Facebook messaging you or posting things. Trump wants to cut out our veterans, our proud veterans serving overseas from being able to vote in elections because that's how they do it. I saw this so many times yesterday. Why? Because that was the line that went out through our corrupt news media yesterday. They kept on saying it over and over and over again. And what's the lie? When do you know it's propaganda? When they all say the same thing at the exact same time. They're greatly threatened by the idea of cutting back mass mail-in ballots, because that's what we're talking about here. Military members, nobody wants them to lose their vote. Those are absentee ballots. Those are not going to be affected. Mass mail-in ballots, the kind with the drop boxes on the street corner, with buckets full at a time. Buckets full. All of the allegations of fraud, all of the things that have happened, all of the elections experts that have come out over the past 5-6 years that have said the easiest, simplest way to cheat an election is mass mail-in ballots. And we all saw that, right? Despite the fact that they didn't look into it. That's what they're going after. So here's your takeaway. Next time at work today or at dinner or this weekend, when some low wattage individual comes up to you and says, oh, great, he doesn't want veterans to vote now because of mail-in ballots. Here's your answer. And it's very simple. This is all you tell them. No, he's talking about mass mail-in ballots. The military use absentee ballots. End of story. And that's all you need to know, because that line is already fizzling out for them. But they're trying. They're trying to con as many people as they can. Actually against, this is where we are now. Here's the scorecard. The media came out yesterday against peace and against securing our elections. Don't need to read too far into that one, do we? All right, here's some fun. And I think it's fun because the cop wasn't having it. The hero in this story is the Newport, Rhode Island police officer who was not taking any guff from hammered drop down drunk state official who was using the worst case example of a, don't you know who I am? I can't be arrested. I'm an AG. Meaning she's an assistant attorney general in the state. I'm an AG. In the complete video, and I won't play the whole thing for you, too many swears. There's a couple in here. She tells the cop, I'm an AG, and her friend does too, over 11 times. I counted 11. It may be more than that. I don't know. But here we go. This was her. This is Devin Flanagan is her name. True, she is, or was, or still is, probably will be protected because that state is so incredibly corrupt. Here's her getting arrested. Here was the crime. She and her party, drop down drunk, would not leave a restaurant. They were loitering. They're officially charged now with trespassing. Would not leave. The restaurant owner asked them nicely, told them to leave, had to call the cops, still wouldn't leave. A resisted arrest, obnoxious, but here's the takeaway. If this is one state official, how many more are out there who think they are above the law? But what did they always tell us? No one's above the law, right? Tell that to this drunko. Here she is. Remember, she'll tell you, I'm an AG.
If I ask you to turn off the body cam, you have to turn it off. And that's your protocol. She's a fucking lawyer, so she knows.
Well, that's bullshit lawyer stuff, so that's not true. So we gotta go.
No, it is. That's law. I'm an AG. I'm an AG.
Good for you. I don't give a shit. Let's go.
I don't know who the cop is, but my God. By the way, the cop saying, yeah, well, that's BS lawyer talk. I don't give a damn. Good for you. Get in the car. We're getting arrested because you refused to leave. The last thing she says, and this is a couple of minutes later, we didn't have time for that. The last thing she says after saying another 9 or 10 times, I'm an AG, I'm an AG, as if saying, I have a free pass, I have a free pass, and her friend yapping the whole time. Last thing she says, as he's putting her in cuffs in the back of the police car, closing the door, is, I'm an AG, you'll regret it. Which to me is threatening. I mean, you'll regret it? You'll regret arresting me? Saying that to the cop. Isn't that threatening? I mean, I would think so. Now, this is going to be an interesting, even though, a lot of us don't live in Rhode Island, this is going to be an interesting one to pay attention to. My first takeaway on this was, are you noticing this? That the cops have had enough of corrupt officials? I see this more and more. Maybe it's because of body cams. I don't know. But that cop deserves some kind of a medal. And I hope he is protected a lot. It seems as though the cops aren't playing the do you know who I am card anymore. They're not putting up with it. They don't care. They're doing their jobs. Seems like they feel more empowered. And that's a great thing. I love it. I'm going to pay attention to this story to see if she keeps her job, number one. And she probably will because that state is so corrupt. And I want to see the reaction from the weeks ahead and what actually happens from her and see if she says anything else. Because, man, that is just... If that's not worthy of firing, of getting rid of her, I don't know what is. So we'll see. We'll see if she's on the unemployment line or not. Speaking of the unemployment line, here's our fun fact story of the day that I don't completely believe, but it's fun to talk about anyway. I mean, it's horrifying. It may be disturbing, but at the end of this, you're going to see that this is actually a great thing if you have the right mindset. We're going to the New York Post for this one. You may not like the New York Post. They always have the exaggerated headlines. And I'll just read the headline for you. And I don't completely believe it, but it's fun to talk about anyway. New York Post came out with a headline yesterday that said Gen Z job seekers, that's Gen Z, kids in their 20s mostly, have their parents write their resumes. That's one thing. Apply for gigs. That's another thing. But here's the biggie. And bring them to interviews. Shocking new study shows. All right, this got my attention. Because I got a couple of those Gen Zers who are, about to enter the workforce in a full-time kind of way. Under age 27 was the cutoff line they had here. Taking baby steps into the office, literally. Over 3/4 of Gen Zers, that's 77% of the survey, and they apparently talked to thousands of them, say they have brought a parent to a job interview when they were job searching. Now, the study is from Resume Templates. It's a career planning hub. I don't know if I believe everything in this study. It sounds like it's a little bit too much, and it's something to get attention. I mean, if a shocking headline comes out, more people would be talking about resume templates. But regardless of that, it's happening sometimes, right? More startlingly, we'll go deeper into the study. 79% of them admitted once they got the job, their parents continue communicating with their managers. Okay, this may be a little overhyped. This may be a little over-exaggerated, a little hyperbole on this. But you know it's happening to some degree, right? Like they all can't be lying about this. Somebody somewhere is taking their mom and dad, probably mom, I'd guess. That's my guess on this one, to a job interview. And more likely than not, it's actually happening out there. Maybe not 77% of them. Probably not anyway. That might be a little too much, but it's happening. Now, let me tell you something. The first thing, if I'm a person under 27 and I'm in the job seeking world, I hear something like this, or I hear about this happening among my social group, my friends group, I'm jumping up and down in celebration. You know why? Because if you're mentally tough enough and you look at this and you see these people as your competition in the workforce, and it's a tough job market out there. It is. I see that personally as a business owner, and I see it as a parent for kids who are pretty much in that same age group. If I hear that I've got people who are my rivals for some of these job openings taking their mom or dad to the job interview or reaching out to their managers, I'm thinking one thing. I'm going to blow them out of the water. This is the greatest news of all time. I would love it. So if you've got kids in that job-seeking market and they're about that same age, tell them exactly that. But the second thing is, nobody needs to tell you. I could say this as a business owner. If I see mom or dad anywhere near the facility where we're having the interview, I'm not going to be hiring you. I mean, you could be the best candidate in the world. You could be amazing. You could be incredible. You could have the greatest degree in the world. Yeah, mom comes to the interview or reaches out to me or somebody else on staff, I'm not going to be hiring you. But that's great news for the kids that actually get it, that have the great mindset. Mom and dad to the interview. Can you imagine? I can't imagine, actually. It doesn't surprise me that much. All right. Thanks for finding me. The main takeaway, the media is stupid, and so are people that tell you that Trump's trying to keep military members from voting. That's not happening. You remember the line. Clarify it if you hear people saying that today or this weekend. No, that's mass mail-in ballots, not absentee ballots. All right, that's all you need to say. Have a great day. It's only Tuesday, but make it a wicked awesome day. Thanks for finding the podcast, live stream, replay on here on X and all the other channels, and keep an eye out for Wicked Wisdom with Bill Adams on all the social media channels, because we got more content on YouTube and Facebook and everything else that's out there. And thank you, audio podcast listeners, as well. Appreciate your time, as always. Make it awesome. We'll talk to you tomorrow.